Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, some comrades, connections, social media friends. This is Jim Sastry speaking from Hyderabad, India. I'm going to give you a small review of the small book called Small Armies, Big Cities Rethinking Urban Warfare by Louis A. Tomkiewicz. It by reviewed by Joseph Armataya Dacres. Uh, Reviewed by the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine illustrates the likely future of war. Future conflicts are expected to occur in highly urbanized centers, the centers of a country's economic and political power, and will involve a combination of symmetric and asymmetric forces seeking to subdue the enemy and destroy its will to fight. Former chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, has stated if war is about politics, it is going to be fought over where people live. It will be fought in urban areas. Louis in her book Small Armies, Big Cities, Rethinking Urban Warfare, examines many issues of the future war fighters must consider when operating in big cities with small armies, including drone warfare, surrogate warfare, mass and maneuver in influence operations and civil military relations. Tumkevich, a senior research fellow at the British Army's Center for Historical Analysis and Conflict Research, aims to illustrate for future warfighters the myriad challenges in our operations. As she explains, the book's aim is to inform and stimulate thinking on how small armies fought in cities, reflecting on the enduring nature and changing character of urban conflict through several case studies. Chavez agrees with General Manley assessments that future conflicts, whether counterintelligence, counterinsurgencies, peer confrontation, or near peer confrontations are likely to incorporate an urban element. Before proceeding to the book's overall argument, a few operational definitions are in order. First, what continues constitutes small, while the term can mean different things to different people. Trimsheva is operationalizes small as both a division of 10,000 or less, and more broadly in terms of an army's range of capabilities and budget. Army, as she argues, refers to an organization armed and trained for war on land, though not specifically the armed force of a nation, state, or political party, which allows the book to include experience of more non-state armed groups. Timshavez does not fully explain how she arrived at this definition beyond noting that small is a relative term, particularly when it comes to armed forces. Another key characterization of official conflicts is the possibility that they may not even exist geographically in deserts or on plains. Are under jungle canopies. Instead, the perhaps in cyberspace, where its protagonists may not be soldiers but programs. Their weapons, which viruses and computer code, as Tumshevich notes, future conference will take place primarily within the world's urbanized areas and reflect future take place primarily visible in urbanized areas and reflect the what Mary Calder referred to as new wars, in which hold both conventional forces and irregular combatant, so including militias, private security contractors, terrorists, paramilitary groups, warlords, and criminal gangs operate under the urban space itself becomes a tool of war. As the urban terrain becomes the dominant battlepiece, our conflict in the cities, increasing result in herbicide, the deliberate and premeditated destruction of urban area. Its purpose is due often to eliminate the vestiges or an ethnic group or symbolically attack a population's identity. Tim Chavez highlights in numerous examples across the 20th and 22nd, 21st centuries, such as Russia's destruction of Grozny and its ongoing missile and drone attacks against Kiev. The imposition of Soviet Union on December 25th, 1991 marked not the end of history, but rather the beginning of a new era in international relations. Chavez argues that the post-Cold War experience demonstrates that urban warfare continues to be shaped by a mixture of historically enduring dynamics and new features driven by technological, political, and social change. The conflict over Donetsk airport exemplifies this evolving character. While the airport held little strategic value, its symbolism made it worth fighting for. It was the most important center to the city, and it was defended by Ukrainian soldiers known as cyborgs, who became national symbols of resistance. The Ukrainian government later cemented this symbolism by declaring January 16th Cyber Commemoration Day and issuing a commemorative stamp bearing the motto the which the concrete did not happen. Another important element of our future conflict, as stated in small armies, big cities, is the necessity of environmental intelligence. Sun Tzu determine the art of war. If you know the enemy, know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Remains relevant. The Battle of Marawi in the Philippines, which shows how the armed forces of the Philippines used to influence operations to shape public opinion of and persuade the local population of the recipes of their cause. Shaping popular perception was key to winning the long-term battle for popular support and changing the political will of the larger population to win the hearts and minds of civilians. And the AFP had to understand the roots of the conflict and portray the military as the more human than the insurgents. Cultural intelligence was therefore a decisive factor. Marawi also illustrated a grim reality. In future mega the urban battles, the destruction of a city may become imperative to save it. Destroying a city to save it may be a new normal of 21st century conflict. Social media now plays an essential role in legitimating state violence or delegitimizing it. Insurgents can weaponize online platforms to portray governments as oppressors. As Steve Thorne argues in chapter, and social media should be regarded primarily as a media channel, as a way of communicating within an already established network or networks, and as a way of encouraging and deepening behavior and attitudes that are already established. Small armies in big cities also examines how drones have become integral to future conflict. In chapter 10, Paul Lushenko and John Hardy address the still unresolved question of how scholars and practitioners should understand the purpose and disadvantages of our urban warfare. The utility of drones as substitutes for military personnel has become the norm among advanced forces as their troop members shrink and they rely increasingly on specific operations forces. Russian Co and RD defined drone warfare as the use of armed drones in concert with the expeditionary forces to achieve military and or political objective across the continuum of competition and conflict. While drones are not a panacea for future conflict, they are undeniable force multipliers, especially given the tyranny of distance inherent in many theaters. The Russia-Ukraine war illustrates this clearly. When Russian forces suffered heavy casualties in Kiev, the military turned to drones manufactured in China. Soldiers have seen argued that we are experiencing resolution in warfare known as drone air Rama. Lushenko and RD further show how transnational criminal organizations are adopting drones for illicit purposes, using them to monitor police activities and protect clandestine networks. In Rio de Janeiro, for example, TCOs may employ drone to surveil police movements approaching operations in the city's favelas. There is some more review of the book. I am not going to read the entire thing. Please, I will be posting the review as well as written text as well as the video in social media. Thank you so much.